Hello, welcome back to the Reading Mama. My name is Heather, and today I wanted to share one of my other reading challenges for 2025. This year, I'm going back to an oldie but a goodie. I'm going to be doing the Schole Sisters 5x5 challenge. If you don't know, Schole Sisters is a group of classical homeschooling mamas, and their pursuit to continue their education really is what that is. Through Schole, there's a lot of deeper nuances to it, but that's the easiest way to say it. And they do a challenge everywhere where it's called 5x5. You choose 5 categories, choose 5 books for each category, and there you go. That's your challenge for the year. And I have done that in years past, got away from it for a while, and I'm going to do it again this year just for simplicity's sake, though I do have 6 challenges, so mine is more of a 6x5 because I'm special. I just can't make things simple, apparently. But I wanted to share the categories that I'm going to be focusing on. They overlap a lot with my 40x40 if you watch that video, and some of my other goals for the year. And so you'll see some overlap throughout the year on the different books I'm reading, but I wanted to share what these different categories are that I'm choosing to read and the books I'm choosing to read them for. So I'll try to go quickly because that's 30 books. So first things first, I got my super cheap Mama's Reading Journal from Walmart, I think is where I got these. And in it, I have listed out my challenges, and I do share about this in my previous video. And I have written down different things for the challenges. And so now I have my Mother's Education course, or Schole 5x5, of things I want to study this year. So my categories are biblical living. As a Christian, I always have biblical, scriptural-based books that I'm reading. Education, homeschooler. Health, we're dealing with a lot of health things, both in our family and extended. And so I'm always reading about health things. Science and nature is something I'm just interested in. Biography, and some classics. And that's because, frankly, I did the whole honors program in school and missed so many classic books. So I'm going back as an adult and rereading a lot of these, usually as a pre-read for my kids. But sometimes I read a classic and I'm like, I don't want my kids to read this. Why is it a classic? So some of it is I just go through it. So what are the books? We'll start with, where was it? We'll start with biblical living because I have all of those actually. This is also kind of cleaning out my TBR. I have purchased 2 books to put on, 2 or 3 books for this particular reading challenge for the year, but I own most of them. So first up is Habits for a Sacred Home, and I am currently reading it. Lost my tabs, which is frustrating, but this book is amazing. I'm absolutely loving it. First one for Jennifer Pupito was amazing. Mothering by the Book. This is a biblical approach to motherhood, and not so much as how to, though that is, I guess there are some practical things. It's really just trying to focus on honoring God in our days and how we can better mother biblically. Next up, I have a Gospel Mom and Risen Motherhood. I have both of these. So these are from Risen Motherhood and Harvest House Publishers. And honestly, I don't really know a lot about them other than they've been hyped up for years, and I'm just, well, this is new. I'm just not getting around to reading them. So that's on my list for this year. Get Out of Your Head by Jenny Allen. I actually read another book by her, or that referenced this particular book years ago. So it's been sitting on my shelf, so I'm going to read that. That is Stopping the Spiral of Toxic Thoughts. So I thought that would be good. And I have Habits of the Household, which is also one that is just super popular right now. I started listening to an audiobook and I was like, nope, I gotta have the actual book. I need to be taking notes. It was very wonderful in those first few pages that I listened to. So that's my biblical Christian living, and you'll see it's very mother focused. Next up is Education. This is a weird one. We primarily do Charlotte Mason Home Education, and I've read all her volumes except volume 6, which I know is where most people start. So I'm going to read that this year. That is in the works. I have For the Family's Sake by Susan Schaefer Macaulay. I've read For the Children's Sake multiple times and love it, and I've had this recommended several times. So we're going to drop in that one. When Children Love to Learn by Elaine Cooper, also been sitting on my shelf for a while. And then I have a couple books that I got in like a giveaway at some point and just have never picked up and read yet. And The Enchanted Hour, The Miraculous Power of Reading Aloud in the Age of Distraction, which we love reading. We love reading aloud. So I'm excited to see what this particular author has to offer. I don't know that it'll be super riveting. That's kind of why it sat there. um, I really love Sarah Mackenzie's Read Aloud Reliable and what is it? A Read Aloud Family, and Jim Trelease's Read Aloud Handbook. But I am gonna give that one a try. And who doesn't love John Holt? So I haven't read this particular book of his, but I've read his others. So learning all the time. So I'm excited to dive into those for my education category this year. Then I have health. So health is kind of a weird category. So it starts with food. Yes, this is the Whole30 book. Yes, I've read it before. Yes, I'm rereading it. Taking notes again because my copy got destroyed in our mold epidemic last winter. So I'm rereading it. I love it. It's a good basis. I'm thinking about assigning it for my high schooler just because it has so much body, food, mechanics that are just very basic and explained very well. I've done a couple Whole30s and I've never had like amazing results that I could tell about, but I definitely feel better doing it. So I may do that post baby birth again this year. We'll see, but mostly I'm just reading it because I wanted to be reminded of some of the food mechanics. Other things are the Case Against Sugar. Again, I bought this a while ago. It's been sitting on my shelf. Just one I need to read as somebody who really struggles with sugar. I have Michael Pollan's The Omnivore's Dilemma. Again, I think I did in Defense of Food. I think I read that earlier this year, last year. I can't remember now. But I'm going to read this one and then try to go through it. I don't think that people need to be vegan or anything like that, but I do think he makes some very good arguments and I like his writing, so I'll be doing that. Still working on The Whole and Healthy Family by Jody Mockabee. I was actually shocked by this, helping your kids thrive in mind, body, and spirit. I started reading it a while ago. Again, I think I won this in a giveaway, and I was kind of surprised because I really didn't have high hopes for this, and it started out swimmingly, so I'm going to be picking that back up. And then I want to read the very popular Anxious Generation, but I do not own that at the moment. Probably should put it on hold at the library now, and then maybe I'll get it in about 10 months. So there's that. Next up is Science and Nature. And that's just something that I enjoy reading. I try to read along with whatever my kids are studying. I have too many kids now, so sometimes that happens and sometimes it doesn't. But I have the Microbe Hunters. And then I want to read, I think this is on an Ambleside Online list. I just looked interesting. I may switch this particular one out for a book on cancer, as my mom has recently been diagnosed and started cancer treatments, but we'll see. So I'm going to be reading this, hopefully. Also, the nature facts. I love learning about nature, and the more I read about nature, the more I get into nature, and I love being outside. But this last year with grief and pregnancy and just health, I've put it on the back burner, and so I'm hoping reading this will get me back outside more. And I'm hoping to read this by Ken Ham, One Race, One Blood. So if you don't know, Ken Ham's from Answers in Genesis. And this is talking about the biblical truth of race. And how there's really just one race, it's human race. So I always enjoy Ken Ham's writings. Let's see here. Books that I don't have in this category are Braiding Sweetgrass, which I've had on my list forever and I just keep putting it off. So I'm going to hopefully tackle that and How to Raise a Wild Child, again, about getting in nature. Then biography, and I have some of these. So A Chance to Die, which is Elizabeth Elliot's biography about Amy Carmichael, who was a Christian missionary in India. She's Irish, or she was Irish. She's no longer living, but she is a missionary in India. She's beloved by her family. I've read several other biographies of her. I like Elizabeth Elliot, so I'm interested to read her biography on her. So hopefully I'll get into that. But it's like a used copy, so it's already marked, and it's bothering me. I'm going to reread Evidence Not Seen. If you have not read this, this is like my highly recommend. Darlene Deibler Rose was a woman who was captured. Where is it? I want to say New Guinea. Anyways, it was in the New Guinea. And her and her husband were missionaries there in the jungles. They're captured by the Japanese and held as prisoners of war. And it's just a riveting story, very well told. And it will draw you closer to the Lord as you read it. So I want to reread this. I also want to read Unbroken. Seen the movie, really loved it, loved the story. I don't know that, I think pretty much everybody knows, but again, this is a person who was captured during World War II, and they are in a camp in by Japanese again, so that's kind of ironic. We're going into 20th century history next year, so you'll see a lot more of those kind of biographies as I read them for my kids. But these are ones I want to read for myself. We read a lot of biographies in our family. It's how we primarily study history, is through biography and autobiography, because who better to learn than those who actually lived through it? And so we will be reading several of those, but I'm excited to read this finally. Um, Other biographies, I want to read Endurance about Shackleton's journey. Really know nothing about his journey, but again, that would be a preview for my oldest, but I have just heard amazing, amazing stories about it. So we're going to go through Endurance, and then Rembrandt and the Wind, which is, Russ Ramsey, maybe? And it's been popular forever. I know he has a Van Gogh book out now. Ideally, I'd love to read both, but I'd really like to start with Rembrandt and the Wind. And I really do enjoy learning about artists and history and biography, so that would be just a little bit different. And then that comes to classics, and I don't have a lot of these because I've never read them. So first up is Uncle Tom's Cabin. I'm reading that. I'm going to start reading it now along with my high schooler because I've just never read it. It's just not something that came up. Frankly, I don't know much about it other than it changed a lot of people's perspective on what slavery was and the cost and atrociousness of it. I'm also going to read Please Don't Make Fun of Me, To Kill a Mockingbird. I've never read this. Not gonna lie, read the first chapter, wasn't impressed. But I recently was on Facebook and saw people say, what is the one book that you want your high schooler to read? And it was probably 50% of the comments, over 100 comments, probably 50% were To Kill a Mockingbird. And I just don't understand. But hopefully I will as I dive into this. So for whatever reason, I skipped this in high school. It wasn't part of my reading assignments. My husband distinctly remembers reading it. So we're gonna read that. I'm gonna also read, hopefully, Lord of the Flies. Um, All Quiet on the Western Front. And I know it's a doozy, but I would like to tackle Les Mis. And I don't know if I'll do that. I've had Count of Monte Cristo sitting on my shelf for years. I should pick that one for this year, but I can just tell you right now, my heart is just not into Count of Monte Cristo. I picked it up. I've tried several times. And I couldn't do it. So I was like, well, maybe I can try Les Mis, and I will. Maybe the story will be more gripping to me, because I know it a little bit better. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. So if you have those are the classics I'm trying to hit. As you see, they're a very wide range there. Yeah, Uncle Tom's Cabin, Lord of the Flies, All Quiet on the Western Front, To Kill a Mockingbird, and Les Mis. Kind of runs the gamut, but we're kind of going with the 19th, 20th century feel, which is what we're studying in school. These are classics that a lot of high schoolers read that I missed. I'm just trying to see, should those be classics I have missed, or are they ones that really should be gracing my shelves and that I should be assigning to my high schoolers? So that is my Schole 5x5, really 6x5. If you have any questions, let me know. If you have recommendations or comments or encouragement about some of these books that I'm hesitant on, or maybe you're like, don't waste your time on that book, that would be great to know too. I would appreciate it. That is one of my reading challenges, and like I said, you'll see a lot of crossover with my 40 by 40, which is September is when I turn 40, and also just other reading challenges I do throughout the year. These were all on my shelf. I'm trying to clean up my TBR, try to read my bookshelf, pull it out. Doing Chantel's Read Your Bookshelf Challenge, so I'm sure some of these will fit in there as well as we go throughout the year, because I really hate that I have so many books that I haven't read on my shelf, because it makes you feel bad when you go buy more. So trying to work on that and also utilize my library and audiobooks more. But that is one of my reading challenges for this 2025, which still sounds crazy, year. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.